The Trump administration has announced it will withhold $259 million in Medicaid funding for the state of Minnesota due to alleged fraud. This decision, which came into effect on February 26, is part of ongoing investigations that have identified potential fraudulent activities dating back to at least 2018. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other lawmakers are critical of the move, arguing it is politically motivated rather than a genuine response to address fraud concerns. The state faces a potential debt of $260 million to the federal government if this funding halt continues through the end of March. Lawmakers in Minnesota are now considering new measures aimed at tackling Medicaid fraud within the state. The decision by the Trump administration could have significant implications for various state programs that rely on federal funding. This includes autism services for children and non-emergency medical transportation reimbursements. Governor Walz has already shut down a housing stabilization program last year due to extensive fraud. This development underscores tensions in federal-state relations as both parties navigate competing priorities around fiscal responsibility and social welfare. The situation is expected to continue evolving as state officials work to address the funding gap and implement reforms to prevent future instances of fraud. President Donald Trump met with New York City Mayor Mamdani at the White House Thursday to discuss federal housing investments in New York City. During their meeting, which lasted about an hour, the mayor also requested the immediate release of Columbia University student Ellie Agayeva from ICE custody. Mayor Mamdani presented a mock newspaper front page titled "Trump to City. Let's Build," aimed at illustrating how extensive housing initiatives could be perceived in local media. This tactic is seen as an effort to engage President Trump, who has shown interest in large-scale projects in the city during previous meetings with Mayor Mamdani. ICE agents arrested Ellie Agayeva earlier Thursday under claims they were searching for a missing person. However, her attorneys and Columbia's president argue this was misleading. Following discussions between Mamdani and Trump at the White House, President Trump told the mayor that Agayeva would be released. The meeting is part of ongoing talks between federal officials and Mayor Mamdani regarding housing development and immigration policies in New York City. The president's immediate response to Mamdani's request for student release underscores the direct impact these high-level discussions can have on individual cases. This situation continues to develop as both parties work towards concrete outcomes from their meeting. In Geneva today, a third round of indirect and direct negotiations between the United States and Iran concluded without reaching an agreement. The talks, led by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner on behalf of the U.S., Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi for Iran, were part of ongoing efforts to address nuclear tensions. During these discussions, both sides emphasized their positions firmly but also noted some progress in technical areas that could lead to future negotiations. Technical talks with the UN nuclear watchdog are scheduled to begin Monday in Vienna. This signals a possible avenue toward resolution, despite significant disagreements over key demands such as dismantling Iran's enrichment sites and eliminating highly enriched uranium. In his State of the Union address earlier this week, President Trump reiterated his commitment to preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. This emphasizes diplomatic efforts while also highlighting increased military deployment to the region. This marks the largest U.S. military presence in the Middle East since more than 2 decades. This underscores readiness for conflict if diplomacy fails. The situation remains fluid as both sides prepare for further discussions and continue to assess the potential outcomes of technical talks with international oversight bodies. A Columbia University student was arrested Thursday morning by federal immigration agents but was subsequently released. According to New York City Mayor Mamdani, the arrest occurred at the student's campus apartment around a.m., and the news quickly spread through social media when the student, Ellie Agayeva, posted about her illegal detention. Agayeva, who is a senior from Azerbaijan studying neuroscience and political science, has over 100,000 followers on Instagram. In her post, she claimed that U.S. agents had misrepresented themselves to gain entry into her apartment building. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed the arrest, but did not provide further details about Agayeva's release or future actions. Mayor Mamdani claims he discussed the arrest with President Donald Trump during an unrelated meeting and was informed by the president that the student would be released immediately. However, these claims have not been independently verified beyond Mamdani's social media statement. This incident highlights ongoing tensions between federal immigration enforcement practices and university protections for their students. The use of deceptive tactics by ICE to gain access to buildings where individuals may be located is a contentious issue, with some arguing that such methods are necessary for enforcing immigration laws while others see them as intrusive and unethical. The situation underscores the political leverage universities and city officials can exert in high-profile cases involving federal enforcement actions. As details continue to emerge, it remains unclear what broader implications this incident will have on current immigration policies and university protocols regarding law enforcement access. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testified during a closed-door deposition on Thursday, denying any knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's or Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal activities. The 6-hour session took place in Chappaqua, New York, was part of the ongoing House Oversight Committee investigation into Epstein's case. Clinton stated that she had no idea about their crimes and cannot recall ever meeting Mr. Epstein personally. She added, "Like every decent person, I have been horrified by what we have learned about their crimes." This testimony marks a significant moment in the investigation, as it is the first time a former president is required to testify before Congress regarding these matters. Bill Clinton is scheduled for depositions on subsequent days, further intensifying the scrutiny surrounding high-profile figures involved with Epstein. The House Oversight Committee's Republican leadership has been pressing for more information from the Clintons, setting the stage for what could be crucial developments in understanding the complex web of connections and potential legal implications tied to Jeffrey Epstein. The situation remains under close watch as investigations continue, with officials expected to pursue additional testimony and evidence in the coming days. In a significant development, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei has rejected the Pentagon's demands for unrestricted use of its artificial intelligence technology, citing ethical concerns. The standoff escalated on Thursday when Secretary Pete Hegseth gave Anthropic an ultimatum to comply or face severe consequences by Friday. Anthropic's refusal comes amid months of negotiations between the company and the Department of Defense over the terms of its contract. Amodei stated that new contract language from the Pentagon made no progress in preventing Claude, their AI technology, from being used for mass surveillance or autonomous weapons systems. This position puts Anthropic at odds with other tech companies like Google, OpenAI, and XAI, which have already signed similar agreements. The Defense Department maintains it seeks to use Anthropic's model for all lawful purposes but has not offered specifics on how this would be implemented. Pentagon officials warn that failing to comply could result in the termination of Anthropic's contract or even invoking Cold War-era laws like the Defense Production Act. This grants extensive authority over essential industries. The dispute highlights broader tensions surrounding AI governance and ethical considerations in military applications. Senators Mark Warner and Tom Tillis have weighed in with contrasting views. This reflects ongoing debates within Congress about regulating AI use for national security purposes. As this situation continues to develop, both sides appear set on their positions ahead of the Friday deadline. This raises questions about the future relationship between the tech industry and the U.S. military regarding artificial intelligence technology. In a surprising turn of events, Netflix has decided to withdraw its bid for the Warner Bros. Discovery studio and streaming business after rejecting Paramount's superior offer of $31 per share. This decision, announced on February 26, reshapes Hollywood's media landscape with significant implications. Netflix had been in talks with Warner Bros. Discovery since December, initially offering $27.75 per share for the company's studio and streaming operations. However, Paramount's revised offer of $31 per share, coupled with additional strategic concessions, has made Warner Bros. Discovery's board view their bid as more favorable. As a result, Netflix has walked away from the deal, citing financial unattractiveness at this price point. The move by Paramount to secure Warner Bros. Discovery raises concerns about increased market consolidation and potential antitrust issues in an already competitive industry. With major players like Netflix backing out, Paramount now stands as the frontrunner with a strategy that includes acquiring the entire company, not just its streaming business and studio operations. This development is likely to impact content diversity and competition within Hollywood. Meanwhile, Paramount has argued for benefits such as consumer value and industry growth through mergers. Critics warn of job losses and lessened creative freedom in an already concentrated media market. Regulatory scrutiny will undoubtedly continue to be a key factor moving forward, with the U.S. Department of Justice, among other international bodies, expected to review the proposed acquisition. The situation remains under close watch as Paramount moves closer to finalizing its takeover bid by September this year, subject to regulatory approvals and potential legal challenges. An intense development off Cuba's northern coast. At least 2 individuals involved in yesterday's speedboat shooting were confirmed to be U.S. citizens by officials. The incident has drawn conflicting narratives from both the United States and Cuba. Cuban authorities claim that 10 people on board a Florida-registered boat aimed to carry out a terrorist attack against the island nation. In response, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel vowed strong defense against what he termed terrorist aggression. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that the incident was unrelated to any government operation and described it as an employee theft. The shooting left 4 dead, including 1 confirmed U.S. citizen, raising concerns over cross-border security threats. The United States maintains its position that the individuals involved were private citizens acting independently, not part of a larger political or military scheme. As investigations continue into the nature of the incident and its implications for bilateral relations, officials from both nations are expected to provide further updates in coming days. In tragic news from Rhode Island, a grandfather who was critically injured in last week's shooting at an ice rink has died. Gerald Dorgan, along with his daughter Rhonda and grandson Aiden, are now the 3 victims of the attack that occurred during a youth hockey game. The shooter, identified as Robert Dorgan, targeted family members specifically, claiming the lives of Gerald, Rhonda, and Aiden. The incident unfolded last week near Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Police have confirmed that at least 3 bystanders intervened swiftly to stop the gunman's actions, preventing further casualties. Robert Dorgan died from what officials believe was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His ex-wife, Rhonda Dorgan, and their son Aiden were among those targeted. Gerald Dorgan's wife, Linda Dorgan, along with a family friend Thomas DeRusso, also sustained injuries in the attack but survived. The swift actions of bystanders who stepped in to contain the gunman are credited for preventing additional harm during this devastating event. The community remains shaken by this tragic loss and is honoring the memory of those affected. This situation continues to be under investigation as officials work closely with the impacted families and the public. Documents recently released by the Department of Justice have detailed how Ghislaine Maxwell facilitated connections between former U.S. President Bill Clinton and financier Jeffrey Epstein during the early 2000s, shedding new light on their relationship. The files show extensive correspondence between Maxwell and Doug Band, who was Clinton's top aide at the time. The emails reveal that Maxwell played a key role in arranging meetings and travel for both men. This includes trips on Epstein's private jet. According to flight logs, Clinton flew on Epstein's plane at least 24 times between 2002 and 2003. These flights often included visits to various locations around the world, from Africa to Europe, where Clinton participated in philanthropic events and meetings with potential donors. Maxwell's emails with Band show a warm relationship, filled with flattery and sexual innuendo. This suggests that she actively worked to maintain connections between Epstein and Clinton for mutual benefit. Meanwhile, there is no direct evidence implicating Clinton in any wrongdoing related to Epstein's criminal activities. The documents do provide insight into how influential figures like Clinton navigated social and philanthropic circles post-presidency. The release of these documents is expected to influence ongoing investigations and congressional inquiries into the relationship between high-profile individuals and those accused or convicted of serious crimes. A spokesperson for Bill Clinton maintains that there is no proof the former president was aware of Epstein's illegal activities. This emphasizes his disassociation from Epstein before the financier's criminal charges came to light. The situation remains under scrutiny as officials continue to assess the implications of these newly uncovered communications and images. Paramount has secured a deal to acquire Warner Bros. Discovery for approximately $111 billion. After Netflix withdrew its competing bid earlier today. The announcement comes as regulatory scrutiny from the California Department of Justice and United States federal agencies looms over the potential merger. The acquisition includes CNN and HBO Max streaming services, among other assets, reshaping the media landscape significantly. Paramount's sweetened offer of $31 per share was deemed superior to Netflix's previous bid by Warner Bros. Board. However, the deal still needs approval from various regulatory bodies before it can proceed. California Attorney General Rob Bonta has already initiated an investigation into the merger due to its potential impact on the state's economy and concerns over political influence. With Paramount now set to acquire Warner Bros. Discovery, questions arise about CNN's future under new ownership. The company's leadership has advised employees not to speculate further until more details are available regarding the transition. This acquisition marks a pivotal moment for both companies as they navigate through shifting market dynamics within the entertainment industry. The situation remains in flux pending regulatory approval and potential changes to operational structures. However, Paramount is moving forward with assurances of delivering value and certainty to Warner Bros. Shareholders.